Welcome to Bowl Game Radio.
They reverse it to Shipley. Now he's going to throw the ball to Ash at the 5, to the goal line. Touchdown, Texas. A little razzle-dazzle.
With Bruce Binkowski and Mark Neville.
Moves it downfield, got a receiver there. Caught at the 15, 10, 5. He scores.
Bowl Game Radio on San Diego's sports leader, the mighty 1090.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for tuning in for another edition of Bowl Game Radio here on the Mighty 1090. I'm Bruce Binkowski.
And I'm Mark Neville. We're past midway through the 2014 season, and thanks for joining us again as we eagerly look forward to San Diego's postseason college football games, the National University Holiday Bowl, and the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl.
And this week's program will include a look at potential matchups in our two games, a visit with our wonderful sponsor and chancellor of the National University System, and finally, some excellent insight into the new college football playoff system with the executive director of the College Football Playoff.
And you know, this is a really exciting year for San Diego's bowl games and for college football in general, and this is going to be the focus of our show again today. The College Football Playoff rankings are in Week 3, and after a huge weekend shakeup in the top 10, there's lots of chatter out there about that. And in just a moment, we'll welcome our weekly contributor, former Aztecs and USC head coach Ted Tollner, to discuss the early matchup potentials.
And in our next segment, we'll have a chat with the Chancellor of National University System, Dr. Michael Cunningham. And finally, we'll wrap up with Bill Hancock, Executive Director of the College Football Playoff. And before we get started, we'd like to remind you to like us, each of our Facebook pages, and follow us on Twitter at Poinsettia Bowl and at Holiday Bowl Game.
All right, Bruce. So let's launch into this, and let's welcome into the program once again, every week as he does, the coach, Ted Tollner, former head coach of the USC Trojans and the San Diego State Aztecs. Coach, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
So let's get started. Something very interesting happened last weekend in the Oregon-Utah game. Utah was on their way to go up by 14 points early in the game, and before the receiver crossed the goal line, he dropped the ball and went on to celebrate his touchdown. The Oregon picked up the ball, ran the other way, and instead of 14-0, it was 7-7. Had this happened to you as a coach, how would have you reacted to that with that player?
Well, first of all, I can't think of many coaches that's happened to, but when I saw it, I thought I couldn't believe it. I mean, that is a real game changer. 14-0 against a highly ranked Oregon team, and instead of 7-7. I think this, and I have given it some thought when it happened. How do you handle that? And I think a lot of it comes back. I mean, your disappointment and the game changer and all that is facts, but the individual has to be evaluated here. Is this a guy that was always doing goofy things and trying to get a show toward him instead of just playing football? I think you're going to be a little harsher on how you treat him, that you've really affected our chances to win this game and hurt our team. Yet it could also be a guy that's never really caused any problems and just made a kind of a bonehead move, really, by dropping the ball 1 yard away and then having it turn into a touchdown for your opponent. So to me, it came back to the individual and how has he been overall in your program. And I think you have to deal with him from that point on. But you're not going to suspend him. I mean, you got to make him feel guilty and bad about it, but he probably already does, again, depending on the youngster. So it was an individual situation that unfortunately really hurt Utah in that game.
That's really an interesting way of looking at it, because I think the natural reaction was, oh my gosh, can you believe this kid was showboating and really hurt his team's chances of winning a big game. But you do think about it, maybe that is the first time he's done something like that. Yeah, it's another way of looking at it.
Well, it certainly should be part of how you handle him and how harsh you want to be with him. And because, I mean, if it's the normal guy, he's going to think, he's got to feel terrible about it. I mean, that he made a mistake. He made a goofy mistake. And so I think you need to know a little bit more about the individual before you decide how you want to handle it.
Now, Coach, lost in all of this was the Oregon player. And if you watch the replay, the Utah player runs in, he starts celebrating. The referee does not signal touchdown. The Oregon player looks up, sees that the referee hasn't called a touchdown. He grabs the ball. Then there was a little scramble for the football, and then I forget the name of the Oregon player that picked it up and ran it for the touchdown. But you've got to give credit to that kid for thinking clearly, and he was on his own. There wasn't a coach yelling in his ear, pick up the ball, pick up the ball.
As I'm sure, Coach, you always probably said to your players, play through the whistle.
Well, yeah, but I mean, sometimes, you get caught up in the whole emotion of it, and that was such a unique situation that I don't know who was hollering what. I mean, all of it, because it just took so long for it all to unfold, and, when is this thing going to be over? And for it to go from one extreme to the other was really pretty amazing. I don't know that I've seen a play, and we've seen some unusual plays over the course of coaching, but that was as unusual as any.
Well, it then brings me to one of I have a lot of pet peeves, as Mark Neville
yes,
will.
We can, Ted, when we sit down, we can talk about
that. But one of my pet peeves in the college and the pro football especially, and you've worked at both levels, are touchdown celebrations. And it just drives me batty when these players do their little dance and do their little salutes and all these things. Why do they do that, number one? And number two, why can't they do it like Barry Sanders? Barry Sanders, for his entire career, who scored many touchdowns, would go into the end zone, act like he'd been there before, hand the ball to the official, and away he goes. What do you as a coach say to those guys?
The rules allow for a certain amount of showboating as long as there's not a bunch in there. I never really liked it, but I guess to some point, the part that it brings the attention to the individual, and they all want to have their own little dance versus a team celebration. That's the part that offends us all. But I think if it's kept within reason, then it's just part of the game now. And the fans like some of it apparently, but I'd much rather have it. I mean, the guy that I watched this last Sunday was Wilson. He scores a touchdown for Seattle. He just hands the ball to the official, like you're talking about. Barry Sanders used to do it. That is really cool. I mean, to see him, hey, I do this, and that's okay. Here, official, here's the ball. No dance, no nothing.
I love that.
The one thing though, some players perform better when they're able to show themselves like that. I mean, look at Richard Sherman. That same team.
They like it, and and they kind of choreograph it ahead of time, and sometimes you wonder about. Make sure you're concentrating on playing good football, not how you're going to dance afterward. But if it's a hard question. I think it just needs to be kept somewhat under control.
I'm Bruce Binkowski along with Mark Neville. You're listening to Bowl Game Radio on the Mighty 1090, and we're speaking with Ted Tollner, the coach who's with us this week, every time this week, as we're talking bowl games. Let's talk about the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl.
So, Coach, a big game this weekend. We got the United States Naval Academy sitting there at 4-5. They need 6 wins to become bowl eligible and come to San Diego for the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl. They're playing Georgia Southern. Many people are saying Georgia Southern should be an easy win. Well, this is their first year at the FBS level. They're in the Sun Belt Conference. They're 8-2. Their only 2 losses this year are to Georgia Tech and North Carolina State. The game is in Annapolis. Can Navy win this game?
I think they can. It will not be easy because Georgia Southern's a very good football team, and for the reasons you just said there. But Navy helped themselves a lot. Their record is 4-5. We know that, but the way they played against Notre Dame, even though they lost, their confidence has got to be back. Their quarterback had a tremendous game, and he's the key to their offense. I mean, obviously everybody else was a factor,
and he really struggled earlier in the year.
Yeah, he was struggling, and so I think their confidence, even though they're coming off a loss, has to be good right now, and their morale has to be good because they played on a nationally televised game against Notre Dame and played well and had that game. And we're ahead into the fourth quarter. So, yes, it'll be a very difficult win, but it's winnable because I think so much of the way they played against Notre Dame.
And on the other side, the Mountain West, we really don't know. There's just so many possibilities. But let's focus on San Diego State at Boise State. They're going to a place where it's going to be, 20 degrees. The Aztecs really need a win there. Boise State is tough, but they gave up 49 points to New Mexico. So is that a possible win? Is it a chance the Aztecs could pull it out?
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that. There's a chance they can win it. I mean, they've had good success up at Boise against good Boise teams. Now, going in, Boise's the favorite because right now they're playing better overall through the course of the season. But it's a winnable game. It'll be very difficult. I mean, Boise is still trying to stay alive so they can play in the Mountain Division for the Mountain West Championship because Colorado State and them are still in. They can't afford to lose, or they won't be in the Mountain West Championship game. So it's big for Boise. It's really big for San Diego State. It's winnable, but it will not be easy on the road in cold weather. They've had success when they've been up there before, though.
Bruce, is it possible we could see if they struggle these last few weeks, that we could see a 6-6 San Diego State team in the Poinsettia Bowl? Is that a possibility?
Sure, anything's possible. The Navy could be 6-6. We hope Navy's 7-5. San Diego State maybe, but then there could be another team.
There's
Boise
still a few
State,
other teams, yeah.
Boise State, Colorado State, Utah State. Nevada, so we've still got some possibilities. And the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl is Tuesday, December the 23rd, 6:30 p.m. kickoff at Qualcomm Stadium. Go to SanDiegoBowlGames.com and order your tickets, or give us a call for the family 4-pack. 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas, and a game program for just $150. 619-285-5061.
So now let's go to the National University Holiday Bowl. The Pac-12, let's start there. Bruce, where do you think we're coming, and which teams are we looking at in the Pac-12 right now? Because it looks like we can rule out one side of the conference, right?
I think if you look at the conference, the South, and you've got Arizona State, Arizona, USC, UCLA, I think those 4 probably are in our sights at this point. And so let's ask the coach if he agrees or disagrees.
Well, I totally agree. And I think that the interesting part of what you just said is that the teams that Arizona State plays Arizona the last game of the year, and UCLA plays USC. So, the mix of those teams, there's going to be another win and another loss on both of their league conference standings. So it's going to come down to that at the end, I think, and has those 4 teams play each other. And they're all quality teams with really excellent records this year.
Really the only 2 out of that side of the conference that I think we won't be seeing here in San Diego. Colorado, of course, it won't be bowl eligible. Utah, right now, they are 3-3 in conference. Is this slide going to continue for Kyle Whittingham and the Utes?
Well, I don't know if a slide is fair. They were 6-1. They lose in overtime to SC, and then they lose the game against Oregon, the way we just talked. 2 really good teams, but they still have Stanford, Arizona, and Colorado. So the schedule is concerns me more than the term slide would mean to me, which would indicate that they're losing their ability to play quality football. That hasn't happened really. But they've lost, and they got Stanford coming up, and then Arizona, and finish with Colorado. So hard to say what's going to happen, but I would think that they're still in pretty good shape to be able to win another game or 2.
Now over on the Big Ten side for the National University Holiday Bowl, which, by the way, is December the 27th at Qualcomm Stadium, 5 o'clock kickoff. Again, SanDiegoBowlGames.com to order your tickets. Ohio State at Minnesota. Now, Minnesota is right now one of the top-tier teams in the Big Ten, and we get a top-tier team in the National University Holiday Bowl. I think this game is Minnesota's season. If they knock off Ohio State, then they're really a team to be reckoned with.
Agree. I mean, Ohio State's going to represent the East in the Big Ten championship. The other side, the interesting thing, is Nebraska, Minnesota, and Wisconsin all have 1 loss on the West side, and they all play each other. I mean, they each play each other in the 2 of their last 3 games. So that's it's going to be a head-to-head decision on how that unfolds on the other side. Number one, just to see who represents the West. I mean, it isn't automatically Nebraska right now. I mean, those other 2 get a chance at Nebraska prior to the Big Ten championship game.
And Nebraska's at Wisconsin this weekend. So, Again, we got some big games in the Big Ten.
You look at these teams, though, over there in the Big Ten. We can't go wrong. I mean, Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin, even Iowa still is in there. Ohio State, Michigan State. I mean, things are looking really, really good for us.
And Minnesota. So, once again, the National University Holiday Bowl is Saturday, December the 27th, 5 o'clock kickoff at Qualcomm Stadium.
So, Coach, I got to ask you, now you serve on our board of directors with the San Diego Bowl Game Association. You are a co-chair of our team selection committee. You're a longtime coach, and you've been on that side of the football, if you will, for many, many years. Now you're on the bowl side. Are things a lot different than you were expecting?
Quite a bit. It's really been enlightening to me, and I'm really learning and loving the experience. Because in coaching, as difficult as that is, your focus is on one thing: win enough games that you can become bowl eligible. And the more you win, the more bowl opportunities that are going to be out there that you can choose from to give your players a great experience. And so that's all you're really focused on. Now, what I'm finding out on the other side of it is you're looking at all the things we're talking about. Now, who qualifies from the various conferences? What are the conferences tie-ups to bowl games? You have to look at those kind of things. Who would be the best matchup for us? A matchup that would allow us to have a team that the university follows them, where there's an attendance situation, there's a hotel room, the tourism part of it. The bottom line is business oriented on the other side, which is new to me.
And when you were a coach, you just wanted to get those 6 wins so you could go to a bowl game.
Yeah, and get there. You know what? And along with that, a lot of people don't like the fact there's so many bowls now because they say it waters it down and you can't. But if you're coaching, you want your players to have a bowl experience. So the fact, what is there, 32 bowls now or 30? What is it?
Well, you're a little
more
short.
than that.
39, Coach, 39.
39, okay.
All the more experiences for these student athletes.
But, I mean, that's a lot of bowl games, and I would agree to that. But if you're coaching a team and you want your players to have a bowl experience, then it's not too many. So it depends, again, on what side you're looking at it. If it's really, truly player-oriented and giving them an experience, if they can win 6 or more games to experience a bowl game, then I'm for it.
Definitely not too many bowl games in San Diego. Coach Ted Tollner, thanks for joining us on Bowl Game Radio. We'll talk to you again this time next week.
All right, look forward to it, guys.
All right, Coach, thanks.
We are up against a break. We went a little long on that one, but it's always enjoyable talking with Coach Ted Tollner. We'll be back after this message. You've been listening to Bowl Game Radio on the Mighty 1090 and the San Diego Bowl Game Media Network.